Okay, this question takes a really long time, but it's not actually difficult. You just have to go back to your cardinal rules, which says for every 2 cards, there is a symbol in common. And since I've promised you that I've already partially arranged this affine plane, all you have to do is pick 2 cards that are in the same family, find the symbol that's in common, and then continue it for the rest of the family. Okay? And the other thing is, since this is n equals 5, we know that for the affine plane versus the finite projective plane, we don't use that last n plus 1 cards. We're only going to use 25 cards, but we're only losing 1 symbol. So n squared plus n is going to be 30 symbols. And what we're saying is we have 5 symbols for 6 families. We have the horizontal family, and we're going to have 5. We're going to have the vertical family, the slope 1, slope -1, slope 2, and slope -2. So we're going to have 6 families with 5 symbols each. And so at the end, you just make sure you have everybody accounted for. Okay, now the first thing you do is you sort of stick your hand, like my hand is right here on this, well, horizontal and vertical is easy. So let's go ahead and, so my finger is going to just go like that on the screen as I'm talking to you. So or like this. Okay, so in this case we're just going to go horizontal. That's the easiest way to go first. And I see, oh, there's an A missing, and then I see there's an A, there's an A, there's an A. So literally that's what my finger's just going to do. Okay? Second row. I see G, G, and then nothing. But that's okay. It has to be G's. So I have an A and a G, a part of the horizontal family. Then I go to the third horizontal family. I see H, 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 okay. Then the next horizontal family, I see there's a W missing. And the next horizontal family, I see a P missing. Horizontals and verticals seem to be the easiest ones for everybody. I'm no exception. So just take your time as they get more complicated. But they don't get more complicated mathematically, they just get more complicated from a human vision perspective. Okay, now my finger's going to go down like this in each column as I look. And I happen to see that there's R's. Okay? I'm going to go to the second column and look. And I'm going to see S's. It takes me a while, but I finally see there's an S. The third column, I notice right away T. Yeah, RST. That's pretty easy. But then there's a trick, because U is not the common symbol. I see a U here, but there's no other U's in the column. So I look again and see if there's anything actually in common, and I see the number 1. Yep, the number 1. And then the last column, finally, I see some 5s. And you may say, well, she's pretty fast. Well, I just did this, and the video crashed. And so I have to do it all over again. So since I just did it, it's going to be faster for me, hopefully. Maybe not. All right, next I'm going to do my slopes. My slope 1. Okay, so in this case I'm going to start by looking at all these guys. So my finger's just going to go along, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to look at, for example, these two that are next to each other and say, is there some symbol that's in common? I'm literally going to, like, my first finger, my pointer finger on my left hand is here, and my thumb is here. And I'm just holding those 2 cards in my hand figuratively, and I'm just saying, is there anything in common? And I see, no, there's nothing in common. That's pathetic. So I just move to another set of cards, and maybe I'm looking here and here this time. And I say, is there anything in common? I don't know. Maybe this is so hard, right? This is really hard. Until... let me see, I keep going and going, and let's see. So, oh, I see it. There's a 6. There's a 6. There's a 6. Okay, 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay, so it's 6. Now I'm going to look at these guys. And I know that this card is part of that collection. So I'm looking along, and I see U, 5% 2G. Oh, I see another U. There's a U, and there's a U. So, and there's a U. That's great. There's a U. Then there should be a U over here. Okay, then let's try for the next slope. I've got these guys, slope 1 I mean, the next slope 1. I'm just looking, 8s, pound I. There's I heard myself say I twice. That's great. Okay, and then I'm going to look at these guys and those guys together because they're a family together. And I see nothing. I see absolutely nothing. There's got to be something. I've got M74GSK, RH92AT, P8KW. Oh, there's a K. I see a K. The K is in all but 2 of the cards. So there we go. And finally, for some reason, the J is just popping out at me, probably just because there was an I in the set. But this last family, there's a J, and there's the J family. Okay, now we're about halfway done mathematically, but these just seem to get harder and harder as they go. But again, just keep in mind that mathematically they're no harder. And if you're getting really tired of it, you can go work on another question in the exam and then come back to it. In fact, I encourage that. As I'm sitting here, I see 7 is one of the slope 1 families, -1 families. Let me point out here that the students who did this last time, a lot of them confused members of the slope 1 and the slope -1 families, and they confused members of the slope 2 and the slope -2 families. They didn't confuse like slope 1 and slope 2. They just confused 1 and -1, and they confused 2 and -2. Those are the most common errors. So just be very aware of your direction, whether you're going uphill or downhill. Okay. The next family, this guy has a family member over there. Okay, so don't forget that you're sitting on your lovely soup can label, and you have to try to keep track of the entire line, even if it wraps around. And you can wrap that soup can top to bottom, or you can wrap it left to right, I don't care. All right, 7, 8, 9. What about these guys? Do they have anything in common? It doesn't look like it to me, but what do I know? It has to be part of that family too. I'm just staring at it, and see, I'm sticking my fingers right on those cards to help me figure this out. This is where you wish you had a computer to do the problem for you. Oh, it's an X. It's an X. It's an X. X, 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 X. All right. And finally, for some reason, the O is just popping out at me. And this guy is an O, 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 O. The O's are fine. They're all there. Take a deep breath because you've only got 2 more families to find. And they're not, you're almost done. You really are. But it just doesn't feel that way. Especially if your computer crashes and you got to do it all over again. Luckily, you're doing yours on paper and your computer can't crash. Okay, slope 2. I'm going to highlight a slope 2 family because some people have a real hard time visualizing what slope 2 looks like. So for example, this would be a slope 2 family, but since we're on a soup can label, we wrap around and then we grab these 2 cards. Okay, so what is common among all those cards? It would be a 2. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to look at all the cards that's exactly to the right of the ones that are highlighted, and don't forget to wrap around in that second row. So now you're in the first position, right? So this is the new family member in the second row. Okay, so I'm thinking there's a 3. I see everybody has a 3. They're all present and accounted for, so I don't have to write any of them down. And then, oh yes, we see a 4. The next family has a 4. So Does everybody have a 4? There's a 4 missing over here, but other than that, everybody seems to have a 4. Now we go 1 unit to the right of that. And 1 unit to the right of that happens to be 1 unit below all the highlighted guys. So if that makes it easier to visualize, it doesn't really matter as long as you've got all the elements you need. See, AUR 7 at. Aha, it's the at. And the reason it's tricky is one of the guys I was trying to focus on was missing an at, and so that threw me off. I understand that. Okay, now the very last slope 2 collection we need to look at is going to be all those guys that are 1 unit to the left of the highlighted yellows. Let's see, we get the pound symbol. It's the pound symbol. Yes, indeed it is. And all the pound symbols are present and accounted for, so we are good to go. I am going to use the magic of my eraser to get rid of all these little yellow boxes. And I'm going to use orange to highlight an example family for -2. Okay, so what does -2 slope look like? So it would be if you start here, and you do exactly the same thing as you did before, but now you're going very steep downhill instead of very steep uphill. Okay? So these guys are all part of a slope equals -2 family. Slope -2. Right? So what's the same about all those guys? Is there anything the same? Hi, Theodore.
Hi.
Okay, is it a pound, a P, an N, an H, GROI? I don't see it. A29. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, this. I understand that these are hard to find. I do. I have trouble finding them. A. It's not A. It's not 2. It's not T. It's not any of the ones I wrote in for sure. Is it N? No. In fact, it's all those letters that we haven't used yet. Do we use the letter N yet? Ah, it is the letter N because check it out. We haven't used the letter N yet. And it's in most of these boxes. The only saving grace with this last family is we can simply look at all the other questions we've answered, and if the letter in question isn't in any of those other families, then it's our candidate. That's right. Okay, now we're going to move to the right of all those highlighted squares by 1 unit and peek around and see if there's anything that we like. Let's see, the first box. J we used, A we used, 3 we used, 1 we used. What about M? I don't think we used M before, and M is in fact the candidate letter we're looking for. I'm going to now move over 1 more position. So I'm the second card after the highlighted card in each row. And let's see. 4A star. Star. We haven't used star yet. That's got to be it. There, we got a star over here. 1, 2 stars, 3 stars. The 4th star is missing, and the 5th star is present. Okay. Now we're going to look at 2 cards prior to the highlighted card in each section. Let's see what we got. So we're going to actually be up here right now. Let me just look. We've used A, U, R, $sign. We haven't used $sign yet. And that is, in fact, the symbol I'm looking for. And it's present in all 5 cards. Okay, we are looking for the very last symbol, so there's no choice. It has to be the % symbol now because that's the only symbol left. And that is indeed correct. So yes, it was a lot of work, but we're done. And here's how you double check, is you say, I should have 30 symbols. 6 times 5 is 30, so I should have 5 symbols in each of 6 sets. Each symbol should be present exactly once, and that's all true. And so I'm pretty sure I'm right, because if I messed it up, but it worked out so nicely, then I probably just switched 2 and it's probably okay. It's not a big deal. So that was hard, it was tedious, but you did it.